Hi everyone, welcome to Anu's classroom. In this video, we'll be talking about unit 6 of block number 2. Okay, this is the last unit in this block, okay, not a course but block, that is block number 2 of MMPC 10 Managerial Economics, and it is titled Demand Estimations and Forecasting. So as you might have guessed, in this unit we mostly talk about how we estimate demand, how do we forecast it, what are the different techniques, what are the things we should take care and things like that. Okay, so it's a very, what you can say, small unit, and when it comes to the examination point of view also, though there have been questions asked in the previous years from this unit, it is you can say the number of occurrences of a question or the frequency with which questions are asked from this unit, from this block, in the term and examination is relatively much less compared to the other units, but there have been questions asked, so it is important. And if you are in a time crunch, I probably should not tell you this, but still, there is a way that you can ace good marks with a bit of a critical thinking. I'll tell that at the end of this video, so make sure you stick with me. This is going to be a very short video, so let's get started. So first and foremost, estimation versus forecasting. How do we estimate, or what do you mean by estimation and what do you mean by forecasting? These are two terms which almost produce a similar kind of a feeling in our minds, right? So what is the difference between estimation and forecasting? Estimation is something, or when you say that you are trying to estimate, what you mean is that we are trying to attempt, or we are attempting to quantify the links between the level of demand and the variables which determine our demand, like for example the price of our goods, price of substitutes, availability of substitutes, competitions, income, advertisement, all those things, expectations, taste preferences, all those things are variables which affect demand. So we are trying to estimate, by estimating we are trying to find how these variables are, or to what extent these variables are linked to our demand, that we are trying to quantify that linkage. But when we talk about forecasting something, what we generally mean is we are trying to determine what you can say, the level of the future demand. We are not concerned with exactly how these variables are going to or what is the level of linkage between these variables, various variables, and our demand. But what we are more interested in is estimating the total, what you can say, forecasting, that is the right word also. We are trying to find out the total demand, okay, of total future demand in a later point of time. That is it. So that is that fine, very minute difference between estimation and forecasting. So there are many various ways with which we can estimate demand as well as forecast demand, and one such method which comes in much handy is the regression analysis. Again, regression analysis is not something that is new. Even in MMPC 10, in the previous units, we have talked about regression analysis. We have learned it in our first semester also, so I'm not going much in depth once again in this to this regression analysis concept. In our channel itself, we have done multiple videos for regression analysis. So what exactly regression analysis is? A quick recap is, it is a statistical method which we are using to establish a relationship between a variable, okay, and other factors that will affect it. And demand estimation is, so that is what regression analysis is. Now, how can we estimate demand using this regression analysis? So for that, we need to know what is demand estimation, right? So demand estimation is the prediction of future demand of a product or service in relation to, or you can read it as linked to the set of variables that will affect its demand. So now that we if we try to find a demand estimate using regression analysis, that is, we have a bunch of variables which affect our demand okay, all the variables in the demand function. Through regression analysis, we find out the strength of the relationship. That is, if you're taking y is equal to a plus b x1 c x2 plus d x3, so that b c d, those constants are what is being determined through this regression analysis. Okay, so now that you found that regression analysis, through that regression analysis you found it, okay, how do we know that whatever we have found is actually what is true, or how do we estimate the accuracy of this regression equation? So for analyzing this regression equation's accuracy, generally we go for residuals. You might have heard of, from first semester, you might remember terms like standard error, regression coefficient, or mean squared error, things like that, right? So residuals are what we use to find out the what you can say, accuracy of this regression equation. Now, the major measurements to this demand measurement is through expert opinions, surveys, and market experiments. This has been asked in the previous question papers. Okay, what are the major approaches to demand measurement? So, have regression also. Okay, so what is so these are the three major ways in which what you can say demand measurement is done. Okay, and these are the three major methods which our book stipulates. There are other methods also. So first is the expert opinion. So in expert opinion, what we do is through techniques like Delphi technique and all. We have come across this term Delphi technique in multiple other courses as well, right? So through techniques like Delphi technique and others, what we do is we try to find out the opinion of experts, subject matter experts, and that is being treated as the major source of our information, and we will try to analyze or estimate, okay, our demand or measure the demand. We use the collective judgment of knowledgeable persons, that is experts, as the important source of information. Surveys, we all know what a survey is. So what we do is we can also take up this managerial plans, right, of our managers. Like suppose if there is a shift in the management, if there is a new CEO coming up, or there is a fresh new CFO or CHO or somebody, CPO, chief people officer, right, CPO or anybody, if there is any change in the top management, then they might bring about policy changes. So how that policy changes might affect the demand is something that is very important, right? Suppose the CEO comes and they are going to set up a new plant in India. Okay, then how would the demand for the products or services be? If they are going to set up a new, if they are going to shut down their plant in India, then definitely the demand might take a hit, right? So those kind of managerial plans, maybe we can put up a survey about what people think about such a plan, and then according to the data collected, we might be able to draw some inference on our future demands, right? We might be able to estimate demand. So that is through surveys. Then we have market experiments. So in market experiment, what we do is we choose maybe one or a few couple of test markets, okay, and a few couple of markets out of all our markets, and they are, those couple of chosen markets are called as test market or test markets. Now if you are launching a new product, we might first launch it in the test market, see how the customers are responding to that, okay, get the feedback. Then maybe we will decide on whether we have to do some modifications before we test it again, or whether before we launch it, or whether it would be a good idea to launch it even, or should we just withdraw it, things like that. Those testing experiments will be done on that test market. Similarly, right, maybe we will take a bunch of test markets, maybe one from Noida, one from let's say Hyderabad, another from Bangalore, maybe one from Kochi, or things like that. A few test markets here and there, and we will, for the same product, we might set different prices in different markets, and then we can find out how people in those markets respond to that updated new price. And accordingly we can find out the demand elasticity. So all those things can be done. This is what is called market experiment. So this is also a good approach to finding or measuring the demand for our goods or services. So those are the major approaches to demand measurement. Okay, then comes the demand forecasting techniques. So time series analysis, we have already said, right? This regression analysis, we have time series analysis, wherein we try to find out the demand according to with respect to time. So is there any trends, is there any seasonal variations, we might apply statistical curve fitting or exponential smoothing to find out the patterns. So that is time series analysis. Then the other one is barometric forecasting. So this might be a new term for you guys, barometric forecasting. So I'll try to explain a little bit more in depth about barometric forecasting, though it has not been asked so far in any of the term and examinations, but just to be on the safer side, let us look a little bit more in depth in barometric forecasting. In case you are not interested, please feel free to skip to the last, where I will tell you the the tactical way of acing your upcoming term and examination for MMPC 10. Okay, so this barometric forecasting actually is a type of method of forecasting where where the forecasting is based on the observed relationship between different economic indicators. Like there are mainly 5 different types of indicators, like leading indicators, which will run in advance of the changes in demand. Okay, like for example, if there is a COVID that is hit, that will lead the change in demand for your masks, vaccines, hand sanitizers, things like that, right? Now if there is if there is a abundance in tomato, okay, at a particular season, then that is what you can think of it as a coincident indicator, which will occur alongside changes in demand. If in every shop there is a lot of tomatoes available, then naturally people will have to decrease the price of the tomato so that their stock gets sold out. Okay, so you can think of coincident indicators in a similar thought. Okay, then there might be lagging indicators which run behind the changes in demand. Okay, or composite indices, which are made up of several leading indicators and will demonstrate an overall trend. We have diffusion indices also, which are group of leading indicators whose directional shifts are analyzed separately. So when we talk about the basis of prediction, then for in this barometric forecasting, we should know that the most important basis of prediction here is the direction of change. Okay, the actual size of change we cannot measure. Also, there may be variations in the length of the lead time or the lag time between these indicators also. So this is kind of a little bit what you can say complicated forecasting method process. Okay, and it is not a very accurate form of prediction either. So that is the barometric forecasting technique. So coming to how you can ace your exam if you with that time crunch, I would say if you look closely at the examination pattern for MMPC 10 and a few other subjects also for that matter, you will find that there are 4 blocks in MMPC 10. There are 8 questions. Okay, 4 blocks, there are 8 questions, out of which 5 are mandatory. Okay, so the general pattern is that 2 questions from each block. Okay, so you have 8 questions, 5 questions have to be attempted. Each question carries 20 marks. From each block, there will be 2 questions. That is the pattern that has been observed so far. So, what I am coming to say here is, even though you are not able to finish all 4 blocks of MMPC 10 before your term and examination, pick up any 2 blocks. Okay, whichever block that you find most comfortable with. Learn all the units of that particular block. Okay, if there are 3 units in that block, go and learn all the 3 units thoroughly. If there are 2 or if there are 5, then learn all the units that there is from that particular block. Okay, and if there are 4 blocks, means at least learn 2 blocks from MMPC 10. So what will happen here is, from block 1, both the questions you will be able to attempt. Block 2 also, both the questions you will be able to attempt. So even though you are not getting complete 20 marks, okay, still you will be able to pass with good marks, because you will be able to attempt 4 out of 5 questions which are compulsory. Okay, and then the 5th question, if you get the time, go through the other blocks also. Okay, and the 5th question, at least some word you might be familiar with or some concept you might be familiar with. So just attempt one of the remaining 4 questions which you feel a little bit more knowledgeable on, or just have a general idea also. Just write. So what will happen is that you will be able to get good marks, not just pass but get good marks in your term and examination. Okay, so this is applicable to MMPC 10 for sure. Some other subjects also you can apply this method actually. So in case you are having this time crunch, you are not able to cover everything before your term and examination, then definitely you can try this method out. Though I won't guarantee you anything, because I am not the one who is setting up the paper or correcting it. But this is a pattern which I have observed. So depending upon your time, you can maybe take a chance. There is a good chance that if out of 4, if you study at least 2 blocks and go, you will be able to ace the exam with good marks. Okay, so that is it for this video. Thank you so much for being with me till here, and until I see you in the next video, bye bye.